Hello, my name is Devkrishna Nagda. My edX username is devkrishna22, and my GitHub username is devkrishna nagda22. The date of recording this video is the 21st of March 2026. The incident I will be discussing occurred in October 2025 and involves a privacy vulnerability in Instagram, where private posts were unintentionally exposed. I chose this topic because it is directly related to cybersecurity concepts such as broken access control and privacy protection, which are important topics covered in this course. This incident highlights how even well-known platforms can have security weaknesses if proper validation is not implemented. In October 2025, a vulnerability was discovered in Instagram where private account posts were exposed. Normally, private accounts are designed so that only approved followers can view the content. However, due to this issue, unauthorized users were able to access private data without logging in or having permission. This resulted in a serious failure of privacy protection. The attack worked due to a vulnerability in the backend system of the application. Backend systems are responsible for processing requests and handling sensitive user data. In this case, attackers were able to send specially crafted HTTP requests directly to the server. These requests targeted the API that was responsible for fetching post data. However, the server failed to properly verify whether the user making the request was authorized to access the requested content. Because of this missing authorization check, the server returned private post data to unauthorized users. This allowed attackers to bypass normal privacy controls of the application and gain access to restricted information. This type of attack is dangerous because it directly targets the backend, which is a critical component of any web application. This diagram shows how the attack works step by step. First, the attacker sends an HTTP request to the server, targeting a specific API endpoint that handles post data. The server then processes this request. However, due to a vulnerability, it fails to properly check whether the user is authorized to access the requested content. Because of this missing authorization check, the server directly responds with private data instead of blocking the request. As a result, sensitive information such as private posts, captions, or media URLs can be exposed to unauthorized users. This clearly demonstrates a failure in access control and highlights how small mistakes in backend validation can lead to serious data leaks. This vulnerability is an example of broken access control, which is one of the most critical security issues in modern web applications. Broken access control occurs when a system fails to properly enforce restrictions on what users are allowed to access. In this case, the server did not verify whether the user had permission to view the requested private post. As a result, when the attacker sent an HTTP request, the server responded with private data in the form of a JSON response. This response contained sensitive information such as post details, captions, and media URLs. Because there was no proper authorization check, unauthorized users were able to directly access private content. This vulnerability clearly shows the importance of implementing strict access control mechanisms in backend systems. This vulnerability had serious consequences for users and the platform. Private photos and captions were exposed, which directly violates user privacy. Users trust platforms like Instagram to keep their personal data secure, especially when they use private account settings. However, due to this vulnerability, that trust was broken. This exposure of personal data can lead to misuse, such as identity theft, harassment, or unauthorized sharing of private content. In addition, such incidents can damage the reputation of the company and may result in loss of users. Overall, the impact of this vulnerability highlights how dangerous even a small security flaw can be. This issue can be prevented by implementing strict access control mechanisms in the system. The server must always verify whether a user is authorized before providing access to any sensitive data. Developers should ensure that proper authorization checks are applied at every level of the application, especially in backend APIs. Securing API endpoints is very important, as they are often targeted by attackers. In addition, regular security testing such as penetration testing and code reviews should be performed to identify vulnerabilities early. Organizations should also follow secure coding practices and maintain proper monitoring systems to detect suspicious activities. By following these measures, the risk of such vulnerabilities can be significantly reduced. In conclusion, this incident demonstrates how even a small vulnerability in a system can lead to major data leaks and serious privacy violations. It highlights the importance of implementing proper access control mechanisms and ensuring that user permissions are always verified before granting access to sensitive data. This case also shows that backend security is just as important as front-end security in protecting user information. Organizations must follow secure coding practices, perform regular security testing, and continuously improve their systems to prevent such issues. Overall, cybersecurity plays a critical role in maintaining user trust and ensuring the safety of digital platforms. This type of vulnerability is very important in the real world because it can affect millions of users at once. Many people rely on privacy settings to protect their personal information, and failures like this can lead to serious consequences. Broken access control is one of the most common and critical security vulnerabilities found in web applications today. Attackers often look for such weaknesses because they are relatively easy to exploit when proper security checks are missing. In this case, a simple lack of authorization checking allowed access to sensitive data, which shows how dangerous even small mistakes can be. This highlights the importance of implementing strong security practices and continuously improving systems to protect user data and privacy in modern digital platforms. This incident clearly shows the importance of cybersecurity awareness for both developers and users in today's digital world.